Regulation for us, we look as a strength. We understand the rules quite well, and we know what to look for, what to avoid. And when we were in New York, for example, they're the first ones to really regulate in a meaningful way. The hotel lobby was very powerful, and out of fairness to the hotels, they had to pay massive premiums in taxes, massive premiums in how they built their buildings, fire code. Yet full apartment buildings were being rented as Airbnbs with none of the same requirements. So it regulation was required, and it really cuts supply, which is good. Demand for vacation rentals still exists, will always exist. People want it, but supply is being cut in some of these key markets. So if you're one of the people that owns a short-term rental or has someone like us manage a short-term rental, these key markets, you just have it's a supply demand. Less supply and more demand drives rate, drives your total revenues.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today we're joined by Stephen Petasky, entrepreneur and leader at Luxus Group, a company focused on luxury real estate, vacation ownership, and high-end hospitality experiences. Stephen specializes in owning and operating premium short-term rental and resort-style properties, blending real estate, hospitality, and experience-driven investing through Luxus Group. He's built a model that goes beyond traditional rentals, focusing on creating high-end destinations that deliver both strong returns and exceptional guest experiences. Welcome to the show today, Stephen.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on here. And I had mentioned to you in the green room that I had really cut my teeth working with investors in the short-term rental space specifically. But what led you into STR, hospitality, and the luxury space?
Yeah, absolutely. So 20 years ago now, my wife and my wife was pregnant with our first, and we were in two totally different careers. She was a journalist. I was in the retail grocery business, actually. And one thing we had a common passion for was travel. And we knew that our travels were going to change once we had our firstborn, but we wanted them to change in a good way. So we thought, what would be the perfect type of company or experience that we'd be looking for as a family? And as new parents, you're a little bit anxious and worried about kids, in certain places, on the floors of dirty Airbnbs, or this is pre-Airbnb days, VRBO. Hotels were too small. We didn't have the money to buy our own home. So we thought, wouldn't it be great if we had a portfolio of vacation homes around the world that we had equity in, that we could set up exactly the way we wanted, that they were perfect and give us all that variety. And we said, that'd be great. Well, no one does this, so why don't we give it a shot? And we went out to about 18 friends and family and syndicated $3.5 million. We bought a beach property in Maui, a desert home in Scottsdale, and a ski summer home in Western Canada. And that was the start of Luxus. And now it's grown to become very, we're a pretty good sized company now, and about 6 different countries. And we've managed, developed, built hundreds of properties, and it's been a crazy ride the last 20 years. And the kids end up getting a great experience along the way. So I'm glad that it gave us the motivation to start the company.
If we go back to the beginning, after you had syndicated, raised the capital, and then you
Yep.
were looking for deals and then investing in
Yep.
those deals, maybe doing some rehabs as well, what was some of the biggest hurdles in those early days?
Biggest hurdles, the good thing at the time that, it was during the Great Recession, so unknowingly timed it extremely well, where there was a lot of inventory at very good pricing, and, the hurdles came a little bit later. Buying was the easy part early. The hurdles came as Airbnb became a thing, kind of 2010 to 2015, and they started growing so fast that regulation happened. So that was, back in the old days, the good old days, it was Wild West. Anyone can rent their home unless there was an HOA that prevented it. You're pretty much free to do whatever you wanted.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Airbnb came, obviously changed, forced cities and states and countries to change their policy and how short-term rentals are governed, and whether they should exist or not, and all these things went through. So we had to change some communities, exit some properties, and everything else. So the early days was easy. We were raising money pretty quickly and buying when everything was on a deal. But the tricky part came from 2010 to 2015 during that regulation time period, which still goes on today, by the way.
I mean, so you were in right at the inception of Airbnb.
Yeah.
So for folks who weren't even in real estate at that time, what was it like being in the short-term rental space when they came on the scene?
Uh, Really exciting because the only thing that existed, I mean, rentals certainly existed. Verbo was kind of the most popular, but it was really good for us because Verbo really had no standards, no real strong rating system. So people were consistently disappointed with the other rental platforms. Airbnb forced people to do a slightly better job. So we're kind of excited about that for the industry to see some growth. But as we kind of worked our way through, we weren't really competing with them. There's always a platform that we kind of leveraged, but they just grew so big so fast, and again forcing these governments to make these changes. And it was now we fast forward to our current model today. Airbnb is an important partner for us as we use them for distribution, but it's amazing to see how they just completely dominated space. From and hotel lobbies had to get involved to try to shut them down,
Yeah.
and they've
Yeah.
they've found their way through phenomenally well, and they're the biggest company, and they're always going to be the biggest now in the space for sure.
I mean, one of the interesting things about it is, they became so powerful. You have cities all across the country. And I'm a Texas licensed realtor. So Dallas is what comes to mind, where you
Yep.
can't do under 30-day stays because you mentioned the lobby and so many other factors.
Hmm.
Basically said, look, the only way that you can do this is if you stay here for longer than a month so that it's no longer considered a short term rental.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a key part of our thesis as our business has evolved from kind of our version 1.0 to our 2.0 version. Regulation for us, we look as a strength. We understand the rules quite well, and we know what to look for, what to avoid. And when we were in New York, for example, they're the first ones to really regulate in a meaningful way. The hotel lobby was very powerful, and out of fairness to the hotels, they had to pay massive premiums and taxes, massive premiums in how they built their buildings, fire code. Yet full apartment buildings are being rented as Airbnbs with none of the same requirements. So it regulation was required, and it really cuts supply, which is good. Demand for vacation rentals still exists, will always exist. People want it, but supply is being cut in some of these key markets. So if you're one of the people that owns a short-term rental or has someone like us manage a short-term rental, these key markets, you just have it's a supply demand. Less supply and more demand drives rate and drives your total revenue. So it's a good story at the end of the day, but it's created a lot of stress and pain along the way for those that lost listings as a result.
What was the bridge for you from the short term space at luxury or single family into high end hospitality and developing hotels?
Yeah, so 2013. So we've now grown to about 40 properties. Again, we bought them all in our kind of our first model. Now we just manage other people's assets, but in the original time, we actually acquired them through various funds. We were growing so quickly. We're always buying homes, to your point, rehabbing them, trying to get them to fit like the type of guest experience that our clients wanted and desired and came to expect. And we said, well, geez, if we can just build our own assets, we can build them at below repurchase price because now your post Great Recession, but resale values are coming back up. You couldn't do that during the Great Recession. I mean, anything you built is going to cost more than what you're going to buy it for. But then it started to pencil the other direction. And so we thought, let's build for ourselves and other industry players that are looking to build a moat around short-term rental regulations. So we would specifically target communities that we could create some form of protection against short-term rentals being banned, within that particular community. So we had the HOA and the HOA rules. We written in stone that you can short-term rent and it can't be changed. And that was kind of the move into that. Then what has shifted, that was kind of the first 7 years of the development side. The development side has since evolved now where we've separated the companies and they run completely independent of one another. And it's really shifted now into the hotels and luxury residential space where we've seen pretty big opportunity and have deployed a lot of time and resources to.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
What's a trend or maybe something that's a disruptor in the hotel space that is happening now or on the horizon that people don't know about?
The biggest trend, and it's big dollars, but it's branded residential. So branded residential is before you build a hotel, and maybe then eventually they would start to add some residences. So take it the luxury brands like Four Seasons or Ritz Carlton or whatever it may be. They would add some kind of bolt on a few residences. Now there's a really heavy push for branded residential, and everyone's branding. Louis Vuitton's branding, Ferrari's branding. Everyone. Then you have your core brands like Edition and there's just so many now that exist out there. Belmont. They're all building these
Hmm.
branded residential. So it's very popular in places like Miami, the big Latin America influence there, buying, all from Latin America buyers and of course Americans. And in Europe, it's where we also have an office and we're growing in. Branded residential is very limited there and has a significant growth opportunity. So it's basically what the brand does is provide, instead of just calling it Stevens Residences, it's called Four Seasons Residences. Well, Four Seasons commands a lot more name brand power than my personal name. So you see a big, and they collect a fee, and their brand means something to them. So there's a lot of vetting that goes on with the people building to build the right product. But if you can get the right brand behind you and sell residential, it helps with sell through and it helps with financing and helps with profitability because it generates a higher premium.
That's something that's new to me. So, have these national brands, I mean, you mentioned the Four Seasons, is this their first time getting into what would be the residential space?
Well, not first time, but I'm a strategic focus towards it. Before it was kind of an afterthought. It was very much all of the companies a hotel first strategy. So you build a hotel, and if there's room for some residences, let's throw some in there. Now it's shifted a bit where I wouldn't say it's equal footing, but if you can't have a hotel, you can go all in on residential. So I'll use Vegas as an example because we're building the Four
Yeah.
Seasons private residences Las Vegas. There's already a hotel on the strip. It's a very large 500 key Four Seasons hotel, but there's no residential attached to it. So we're building a standalone 171 unit luxury condo buildings, two of them, towers, and it's 100% residential. So there's no short term rentals, there's no transient uses for people that trust the brand in a place that they ultimately want to live. And so you're starting to see this with a lot of the hotel brands saying, wow, I can have now two flags in one city. I can have a hotel flag and I can have a residential flag. And consumers are gravitating towards the brand power, knowing that, Four Seasons or pick any luxury brand, they've attached their name to it. It must be great. And I'm willing to pay a premium for that to have that type of experience to live in. Some of the brands quickly also allow you to rent your properties, but a lot of them are just like full-time residences living there.
Now, for folks who are considering getting into the investment space and specifically looking at development, I
Yeah.
think that there's been, in the last 5 years, seemingly an explosion of syndicators and people looking at getting into multifamily and commercial residential apartment complexes throughout the country. At the same point in time, that has made it so that there's more competition. I know in places like Austin, Texas, where I'm licensed, there's a surplus, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
For folks that are getting in right now, and they're looking at all of this and they're saying, looks tricky. What advice would you have for syndicators and for folks getting into multifamily development right now?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
It's a great question. We know the hospitality and called luxury residential space very well. We're not very familiar. I have a lot of friends that are in the multifamily, commercial, industrial, and I couldn't tell you which asset class is giving better performance than the next. All I think, if you're a sponsor and you're the one leading it, like in the person I'm thinking of developing a something multifamily in Texas, it really just comes down to having a deep, deep understanding of the market fundamentals, and what does the supply look like? What's the demand? What's the growth? And every market we look in, we spend disproportionate amount of time. And I know that a lot of people want to be fast in the deals because brokers will push, oh, this is the best deal, best deal. I'm not knocking brokers. Sometimes it could be the best deal, but sometimes the best deals are the ones you don't do. So it's really taking a time to understand whatever your real estate
True.
asset class is, what is the trend of that particular market, and what is the supply that's coming online in that market. Because you could have the best product, but if 20 other guys are 2 years ahead of you, and there's a big supply problem and a surplus, I should say, going forward, you could have the best product and just you may never get it sold through or leased up. So it's people rush the deals. We take everything slow. It's kind of 1 to 2 years of underwriting before we do a deal. Not everyone has the luxury of waiting that long. We never did either, actually, out of Franklin. It's not like it's a luxury, but we just took our time. And any deal we rushed did not perform the same as the ones we took our time on. So that would be my advice to the group.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people who, got into the business before 2020 who saw kind of you could even buy a deal wrong and you could just bank on the appreciation, a number of
Right.
other factors, and you could hit your pro forma in half the time. Well, then those time horizons have seemingly expanded now, and then if you took out variable rate debt and that rate doubled, that can be very tricky. And so I
Yeah.
think the especially in multifamily, it's definitely an interesting time right now, and we're kind of watching the dust settle as we speak here. But I do want to go back to the short-term rental space, and specifically, talking about high-end luxury STR. I've heard from a number of people who've been guests on the show that people are doing like concierge service and really going above and beyond what I was even aware available in short-term rentals to give the ultimate guest experience. Have you seen any of that? And then also as well, are these services that these owners are procuring themselves, or are there like third-party management companies that are doing this on their behalf?
It's a great point. It's both. So it's Airbnb has gotten, I say Airbnb, short-term rental space has had pressure since COVID. There was obviously it was already a good rise, but the artificially inflated time for few years post-COVID. Lots of people got in, thought it was a super sexy new thing, and realized that it's very hard. It's a very grindy business, and they need to find ways to stand out to differentiate. So whether it's an individual host, like I own my own home and I'm providing an upscale service, unfortunately, it doesn't do anything for you out of the gate because you're competing with everyone else on the platforms like Airbnb. But what it does do is create loyalty, and loyalty where someone says that was someone stayed at your house. They probably stayed at others in the area over the years, and they're like, that was a disproportionately better experience. I'm going to rebook this home. So if you're trying to play the long game, the service is a differentiator. And then we, as a property management company, also are doing that, providing a differentiated in residence experience with kind of a consistent hotel brand standard meets luxury short-term rental, so people know what they're going to get on the other side. And ultimately people just want familiarity and they want to know what they're going to get, and then a really high touch service point where people are like, wow, That wasn't just like they put the key in the lockbox and I had to fend for myself. It was I got this pre-arrival experience, I got this in residence experience, this post departure experience. It was like very felt more like a hotel in terms of the quality, like a luxury hotel, than just like I just stayed at someone's house. And if you're playing the long game as we are and everything we do, we think in 5 to 10 year cycles. It's you build it on that because loyalty will build and they will rebook your homes. They'll tell their friends, and you can get higher. You can push ADR, you can push occupancy, and you can create more revenue for yourself and the homeowner.
I think luxury as a whole, although there is some sentiment from folks that it is more impacted by, mini recessions, it does feel like in some ways it's more resilient. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I see so much luxury development happening, everything from the residential side to hospitality to short term to even, experiences. Experiences seems to be what is driving population migration. I see how many, top golf facilities am I seeing being built around the country in
Mhm.
areas where you're also seeing like pickleball courts and you're also seeing, malls be repositioned into some type of indoor outdoor kind
Yep.
of green area and as well shopping area and residential. I think you can't underestimate the staying power of these luxury assets.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting with luxury. We kind of break it into three buckets because luxury is someone could stay in a $700,000 condo or a $17 million house and say it's luxury or not. So we look at it in three buckets. There's like attainable luxury, which would be your 500 grand to 2 million, and then your luxury 2 million to 6 million, and your 6 million plus, you move into ultra luxury. Now it's very market dependent. That's very generalized, but the kind of three buckets we see in the ultra luxury space is that is a relatively untouched, I would say untouched, unfazed market by recession. They're the ones that wait for recessions to make more money. It's probably how they made a lot of their previous money. The attainable luxury and luxury, we see the people just trade up or trade down based on the economy. Generally, if they're in that top 10% income earner, which would fall in that those buckets versus the top 0.1% that might be paying $10,000 a night, they trade up or trade down. They generally don't stop traveling. There's like, I was staying at a $1,500 a night luxury place. I'm going to move to just down to 750 or 800 bucks a night. So they don't change their patterns so much as what they're willing to spend. So we've really focused our energies in that attainable to luxury space. We do have some ultra as well, but because we see that is a much bigger demographic, it's your top, 10% income earners, and they don't generally don't stop traveling. It just comes down to they want a great experience. They feel like they've earned it. They worked hard in their career to have the money to spend on that. But if the economy turns like it is now, or it's uncertain, they're not necessarily going to stop traveling. They just might change when they book and what they book, but they generally keep going.
Now, bonus question here, Stephen. Is there
Go.
something that you see investors missing when they're established in the STR space and looking at scaling that business?
The scaling, so it's a great question, is that we've taken an approach about for scale. It's a very difficult business to scale. Why very few companies have done it successfully over the years in the property management space. So again, you're not owning your own asset. This is you're managing other people's assets, and there's regulation risk, there's geographical risk. In order to scale, you can certainly scale regionally. Like I'm going to be the best short-term rental operator in Dallas, but you do carry risk because if Dallas changes their laws again for the areas that do allow it, you could be cut out and be out of business. So we've seen that happen. So we've taken the approach to have multiple markets. We're going to have eventually 20 markets, 20 to 30 properties each, so 500 to 600 homes. Um, so we have head office scale immediately, but if one market gets affected by a regulation change, it's not going to affect materially your portfolio as a whole. And you kind of get the people trading around. Now, it's expensive to do because every state and every country has its own rules and laws, brokerage requirements, trust reporting, all these things. And so scaling is tricky. You need, just being honest, millions of dollars and a track record of doing it for a period of time to scale. Or you're just a really good, solid, kick-ass local mom and pop shop that over has spent 20 years in a market building up a great portfolio. You probably have a portfolio of some value, but it's hard to replicate that sweat equity into a new market. So you have to add systems that
Yeah.
allow you to scale.
No question. And all of that can seem overwhelming a lot of times, but being able to diversify it to other markets, like you mentioned, can
Mhm.
really be your way to hedge against that,
Yep.
which does help at economies of scale as well. We are coming up on time here,
Sure.
Stephen. Any new projects that you're working on? And then as well, what's the best way for folks to reach out to your team?
Yeah, so our big new one now, it's a couple of years into kind of our 7-8 year plan, but is Luxus Vacation Properties. So you can go to luxusvp.com. So it's an Luxus. So and Luxus is the Latin word for luxury, in case anyone's wondering how we came up with the Luxus Group. And so if you're a traveler and you want to have a great experience, go to Luxus VP, see if we have a home for you. If you're a homeowner of a short-term rental asset and you're looking for a new property management company, or maybe you're self-managing, you want to shift to a property manager, we'd be glad to take a look at your home and to see if it might be a fit for our portfolio. So that'd be a great way to reach out and connect. And we're really proud of what we built and what it's going to be building over the next 5 to 6 years. So it's a great time to jump on board. And if you want to hit me up directly, my Instagram is just Stephen Petasky, Stephen with the PH. I don't post a lot on Instagram, but it is a good way to connect with me offline if someone has a question or is curious about the short-term rental space.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.